Hello Flosstube, this is Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I want to welcome everyone to my channel. I'm here with you again this weekend to share with you my progress on my current cross stitch pieces, a new start on a crochet piece, a finish of a cross stitch piece, a couple of pieces of haul, as well as a few junk and finds. I'd also like to discuss a little more about the September sampler soiree that starts on September 1st. So let's just get right into it. So this weekend I have continued to work on Cooper by Kathy Barrett Designs, and here is the pattern. I'm more than halfway done now, so I am really working towards a finish. Each weekend I try to focus on a piece for a couple of days throughout the weekend, and this weekend it has been Cooper. So I'm going to share with you an update on him. So as you can see, I'm at the halfway point. So I just need to do some fill-in here on his breast, which is all one color. I won't be changing threads there. There's a few more letters here, and there's a few more letters in here, but mainly his tail. I've got one more color to fill in here on the branch, and then it will be complete as well. So the end is in sight. It shouldn't take, I was hoping for an August finish, but that's just not going to happen. But definitely he will be a September finish because I do work on him consistently every Friday. And so when I put another day or two in the mix, the progress really shows throughout the week. So this is Cooper by Kathy Barrett. I'm stitching him on 40 count. Picture this plus Wren with one strand over 2 linen threads. These are the called for colors, and I think he's absolutely stunning. The more I stitch him, the more I like him. But overall, he's relatively small because this is, there's one more letter you can see I've begun here. And that is the size of Cooper, so about palm width for me. So there's Cooper. I also put some work in on a couple of other pieces this week, and I want to share those with you. I did pick up Lottie Daw's Margaret Cotton. Is it Margaret Cotton? Margaret Cotton sampler. It's a 3-part mystery series. Let me get the cover photo out. This is the first part, and this is the part that I'm working on. I'm stitching this one on 40 count Weeks Dye Works Cocoa, and it's the old fabric base, not the new Swigert, but the old base, with one strand of the called for Weeks Dye Works thread over 2 linen threads. And this is where I got this week on this one. And I focused on it just on Wednesday night. But I was able to put a few more letters in the third banding here. I took this border down even more, the vine for the flowers. I outlined 2 flowers and added a few flowers. So little by little I'm getting there. But there is Miss Margaret Cotton. A lot of people, I've gotten questions about where to get this one. I've had this one kitted for several years. I'm not sure if it's even in print any longer, but you can always reach out to Lori Markovich. I know that she has a Facebook page, and she is the designer for Lottie Daw. If you want to reach out to her and show some interest, maybe she can give you some insight as to whether it is still in print, and if it is, where you can find it, or if you're wanting her to reprint it, give her that interest so she knows the whether or not it would benefit her to do so. So that would be my advice, was just to reach out to the designer for Lottie Daw. This one I'll continue to work on. I've been working on it pretty consistently on Wednesday nights. I don't know why Wednesday, it just seems to be the day, and I usually only work on it about one night, but I am seeing progress. Let's see what else I have here in my pile. I did not work on Susan Rambo. I did work on, if I can find it here, there it is. Sorry about the wait there. I picked up Southern Land by Al Forrest Embroidery. I've been working on this one. This week I worked on it for 2 nights. I want to show you the pattern picture, so I'm having to pull it out. I do have mine in sheet protectors, and they're in a binder because I've been printing off with COVID. We're having more and more designers that are converting their pieces to PDF, which I think is great. I do not have a local needlework shop that is near me. I will order. I don't have a problem ordering things. I do like to visit shops as well because there's so many models and I'm always inspired. But at the same time, during COVID, which for the most part I'm limiting my outside the home activities other than just home and work, it's really nice to be able to download these patterns and print them out or have them on my iPad. So but this one I did print out, and this is Al Forst Embroidery. This is Southernland. It is, Al Forst Embroidery has their own line of threads. It does give those threads, there's only 4 different colors, and they are listed in the pattern, of course, but also with a DMC equivalent. So I am using the DMC equivalent because, like I said, I did download this pattern and I wasn't going to order and just order threads because they are coming from another country. And with how the mail service in many of our countries are slowing down a lot right now due to COVID, I didn't want to take the risk of not getting them, so I wanted to start it like now, so I used my DMC. And here are the colors. They're beautiful colors. And let me show you this week's progress. And like I said, I did give this one 2 days this week, Monday and Tuesday. So I did get a page 1 finish. And the page 1 ends right in here. So it ended right in here. And before I put it down, my goal was to finish this centerpiece, which I think is just beautiful. Did any of you have not Etch-a-Sketch, is it Spirogram? It was the little plastic pieces with different size plastic pieces that goes into a circular piece, and you put your pen in there and you draw different shapes for the different holes that are in the plastic pieces. I had one of those and I absolutely loved it. I played with it all the time, and this reminds me of it. And I think it was Spirograph. But anywhoosie, there's this. So when I pick it up again, I would like to work towards a page 2 finish. I had planned to work on this one and focus on this piece this weekend, but I had so much done on Cooper when I picked it up Friday. I just went ahead and carried him through the week to focus on him. So maybe I'll pick up Southernland next weekend. It really does all depend on Cooper, because if I'm getting really close on him, I'm not going to want to put him down. So there's that. Let me put these things down. And the other thing that I've worked on, and I worked on it a little more after I filmed my last video, was Christmas Eve by the Prairie Schooler. And this is stitched on 32 count sage summer khaki Jobelin, 2 strands over 2. I absolutely love the coverage. This is one of those patterns that calls for specific fabric, and I thought I would choose my own. I didn't like the results. I went back to the call for. I'll never again tamper with a call for fabric for a Prairie Schooler because they know what they're doing. I absolutely love it. It reminds me of just a folk art piece. The colors, and you cannot go wrong. Prairie Schooler's like a staple in someone's cross-stitch stash. It seems like most every one of us have at least one or more in our stash. So I'm very happy with the coverage on this piece. But this is where I got, before I put him down last Sunday. I did get started on one of the reindeer. There are 2 pulling his sleigh, and I'm very happy with how it's turning out. I will definitely have this one finished before Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to having this up for Christmas. So as far as haul this week, I did get one thing in. I think it was Stitchy Brat on Instagram had started one of the Carolyn Manning designs, which is just a geometric designs. There's several different ones. They're all in different colors, shades, tones, and I want to do one. So I reached out, I took a look at the patterns, and I picked out this one. And this one is just, it's this time of year, it's almost fall, y'all. This is Tiger Eye, and I just love those dark, rich tones in this one. It reminds me of fall. These are some of my favorite colors. This one will be fun to stitch. And so I bought a piece of fabric for this. And because it's a geometric design and I want all of my stitches to be even, I did get a even weave piece of fabric. It was the color of dirty linen. And I got it in a 32 count. Nope, 36 count. 32 or 36, I think it was 36. There's this. I didn't look, let's see, the finished would be, it's not gonna be very, very big on, actually it was 32 count I got. So it will be 5 inches high by 5 inches wide. So not very big at all. It's not gonna be a big piece. When am I gonna start it? I have absolutely no idea. So that was my little small piece of haul. I also got a little more fabric because I had purchased previous the Prairie Schooler Santa for this year. And I want to share him with you. This is North Wind. It's the 2020 Santa. And like I said, now that I know how perfect the linens are that are chosen, or the fabric is chosen by Prairie Schooler, I did order the khaki Davos fabric for that. And so that was my other little piece of fabric to start and stitch him on, which I don't plan to work on him until I finish Christmas Eve. And then I went through my stash and dug this one out. This was one that I had picked up the beginning of the year. No, it was the middle of last year. It was before COVID hit. And I picked this up in an estate sale. And I'm going to stitch this one as a Christmas piece. I'm just going to change the colors of the quilt squares to match their Christmas palette so that I can hang this as an ornament one day too. So with the piece of khaki Davos I picked up, I should be able to get 4 of these Santas on there, and I do have a couple of patterns from other years, but I really want to get started on those. I'm always inspired around Christmas time when I see so many of you stitchers that have your Prairie Schooler Santas either hanging on the tree or in dough bowls or displayed with your Christmas decor, and it always inspires me, and I want to mimic you all. So speaking of Prairie Schooler and my Christmas Eve, I did finish up my give up. So I originally started that piece on a piece of 32 count lamb's wool linen. I just didn't like it. Not all the whites weren't showing up well. The threads were not laying just correct, just like I would like them. I just didn't like it, so I switched up, like I said earlier, to the called for fabric, which was the sage Jobelin, the 32 count Jobelin. But this is my 32 count lamb's wool start. I just stopped it where it was. I had a few cross stitch or embroidery hoops in my stash that I picked up at estate sales or out junking, and I painted it with just some craft paint, sanded it, waxed it, and mounted my unfinished piece in it. I want to share that finish with you. So here we go. So there's my Santa, and here is, I did not put him straight across. I did put him at an angle because this is the adjustment for the hoop strength. So there is the hoop that I have painted, waxed. I did then sand it again after I painted and waxed. I sanded it, painted it, sanded it again, and then put the wax over the top of the paint. I also, this is the finished. I'm off just a tad on the width of my my circle here, my finish. All I did was put some chipboard. I took a couple layers of chipboard, cut them out into the circular pattern using the inside of the large hoop as my template. And then I used spray glue, glued the two of those together, pressed them till they were dry, and then I put a layer of batting, thin cotton batting on top of that, which I also spray adhesed it to the chipboard, and then laid my fabric on top of that. So behind this, the fabric is laced to the chipboard. What my intention with doing it this way is the inner hoop, of course, is smaller than the outer hoop. And I wanted to be able to, if you can see where I've pressed the inner hoop outside of the top here of the outer hoop. And so I wanted this circle to lay gently inside of that, if you know what I mean. So the hoops themselves, which would normally be together flush, I pushed the inner one out, and then in the gap between the two that is on the back is where I inserted my chipboard, my fabric covered chipboard. Do you see there? The tricky part with that was that, of course, I pressed this in there very tightly. There is no batting between my chipboard backing and my my stitched piece. So when I went to whip stitch this piece in, that was tedious. I got it done. It took longer than I anticipated. I didn't think it through because to make up for it, I was having to press the stitched piece back flush to the stitched piece, which means I was worried it would loosen it up here, because the stitched piece is also on a piece of two pieces of chipboard that I had, but there's nothing in between this piece and this piece, the front and the back piece. Anyway, overall, I'm saying a lot to say, I'm very pleased with it. I keep frou-frouing with the bow, but when it gets on the tree, it's not going to matter. There's going to be so many things hanging there. I just love everything about it. Will I do this kind of finish? Absolutely. I may go with a smaller frame, but this is the one that I had in my current stash that I was willing to part with for a project like this. This is a 5-inch hoop. I would probably use a smaller hoop, wooden hoop, and but the 5 inches is what I needed to get Santa, all that I had stitched on Santa into the hoop itself, so it worked out great. And that little elf on the back, do all of you that, or maybe teens or kids in the 80s, remember the group, I think it was Devo, that sang Whip It? And remember they had those red hats that looked like the pots that you put plants in, and they had turned them over and put them on their head, and they were like red plastic. That's what that reminds me of, that elf. And I couldn't get it in my mind, and now as I'm stitching the other one, you know, I keep thinking in my mind, I'm singing whip it good. So I know that's silly, but okay. Yesterday, my husband and I went into town. We have not really been out other than I go back and forth to work. We may go back and forth to the grocery store maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. And we just wanted to get out. So we put on our masks. We drove over into Georgia and we did a little junking. I found a treasure. I put it on Instagram, a picture of it, to get everyone's knowledge, to pick your brains, to see if you know where this come from. This is a shaker box. It's very well made. It's very thick. It's not a thinly made piece. There is no name on it. where anyone, like the maker, signed it. But even the lid, I mean, it really has some weight to it. It's not thin at all. You can see, I'm thinking this is maybe from the glue over time, just something that needs to be rubbed out. I'll take care of that. But this is the inside. So it is lined with a checked fabric. It looks like maybe from the 90s, like one of the hunter green colors that were very popular then. And it came with a strawberry, and that's the tag from the junk store. But it came with this strawberry that's very well made. It's full of emery. And it has a felt top here. And then this is the pin cushion. So once again, on another shaker piece, no name, but very, very well made. Inside as well, like I said, needs to be wiped out. I would love to have known what was inside of it. Not overall just dirty, just needs a little clean, but I'm very happy with it. It was, to me, what I consider for a piece like this to be very inexpensive. It was a steal. That's what it was. Inexpensive. It was a steal. So I picked this up. Got it to the front. Another lady saw, oh, I didn't see that. And it just made me hug it a little bit tighter. But that's the way it often is in a junk store. You go through, you may go through 3 times, and even on the 3rd time, you're finding things that I've never found before or seen before the first 2 times. So it's like a treasure hunt when I go into a place like that, and I love it. The dustiness, it's a little sad at times when you see that some of these things are, meant a lot to the people that had them, and they're no longer with us, and so we're just rehoming and reloving the things that they once loved. So there's that. I did pick up one other thing. I almost got 2 more of them. There was a total of 3, but this is just a sewing machine drawer. I've seen some of you once again here on Flosstube and on Instagram. Some of us needleworkers have these. And it's just the drawer from a sewing machine case. So this will probably house some of my smalls. I just have to find the perfect place for it. I found the perfect place for my Quaker box, just not this drawer. Not yet, but I will. Okay, now let's talk about September Sampler Soiree. I've been thinking about it a lot the past week or so, and I have chosen, because this is supposed to be my year of whips, where I work on whips that I currently have, and only to start a few this year. I really don't want to start another one, but I really want to start another one. I go back and forth of what I want to do, and I have so many beautiful things that's kitted up. Some of them I've kitted up this year. I wanted to share a few of them with you today. I tend to go big when I start a sampler. I very rarely stitch something really small. It's just my personal preference, and there's so many things I want to stitch, and I know many of you feel the same way. And then I want to make a bag to put them in, because of course I'm going to be stitching on them a while because they're big. So let me just jump in. Some of them you were probably seen earlier in the year in my videos if you've been following along with me, that I've picked up. But I have a couple of footstools here at my stitch couch, and one of them is just full of samplers, and like I said, many of them are ones that I've even bought this year. So let's get started with those. I'm just going to pull from the top. I'm sure we won't get through them all. This is Manny de Donna, the Eunice Tanquerel sampler. I've got a piece of 40 count Country Light Mocha Newcastle linen to stitch her on. She's going to be a very big girl. The picture just does, pictures very rarely do them justice. Eunice, justice. Okay. Anywho, this is it. It looks really muted, but I've already pulled the DMC. Does that look muted to you? I really want to stitch her. So I've been thinking about her. She's sitting on top of my little pile in my little covered footstool. But the second one is another one that's really, really drawing to me. And then I'm sitting here stitching today, and you'll see. Let me explain in just a second. This is My Big Toe. This is Disturb Us, Lord. And I already had the fabric and the threads. Again, the threads are muted. Jewel tones, right up my alley. Dark, rich fall colors. And then look at the pattern. You can't see the beauty of the threads in the front of this. So let's see. I bought a piece of Platinum, which is one of my go-to colors when I'm stitching on a sampler. This is just, once again, my personal preference. It's 32 count Platinum Edinburgh linen. And let me see. Let's see what it says. This is the prayer of Sir Francis Drake. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true, because we dreamed too little when we arrived safely, because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, when with the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. Disturb us, Lord, to dare more about, boldly to venture on wilder seas, where storms will show your mastery, where losing sight of land we shall find the stars. We ask you to push back the horizons of our hope, and to push back the future in strength, courage, hope, and love. This we ask in the name of our captain, who is Jesus Christ. This is really drawing to me, because with everything going on right now, disturb us, O Lord. That one. I also picked up, or have this one kitted up. This is the Antique Reproduction Sampler Innocence 1840. I actually got this one last year, right after market, from Juliet Reflections. And I have both the fabric and the threads. And let me just keep going. These are just ones that I got kitted. This is Little Birds by Blackbird Designs. I had the fabric, but not the threads. I will have them here in my stash, but I don't have that one fully kitted. I picked this one up too from Juliet Reflections Needlework. This is one of her daily, where she shows you a daily pattern. This was featured on one of those, and I purchased it not a couple of months after market. This is another one that I got from Julie. This is Teresa Kogut, Faith, Hope, Peace, and Love. This is another one that's really high on my list of ones to start. I had this one kitted up as well. I've got it kitted up on a piece of 40 count Lakeside Linen's Exemplar linen. You want to see another one? This is one I bought a couple of years ago. This is the Nebby Needle, Hallelujah. And he shall reign forever and ever, King of kings and Lord of lords. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I do not have the threads. I have a piece of 32 count Abecedarian linen, but I did buy a, I would call it a sampler package of red threads from that are on the little white spools. I can never think of the name of these threads. It's so silly that I cannot tattoo that in my brain, but it's the little threads that are about the width of 2 DMC threads, but it's a package that has 5 or 6 colors of red, and I wanted to use those for this. Excuse me. Did I pick up another one with that? No. And there was one other one, and I can't find it, that's really, you know what, I'm going to leave you there today. I may dig back in here more, but these are the ones that I had right on top. And of these, the ones that are drawing me hardest is the Sir Walter Raleigh and the Faith, Hope, Peace, and Love. I'm really warring with myself on whether or not to start it. And I'm usually start all the things. But at the same time, I have stuck to my goal all year. And that was to do my best to go out of 2020 with nothing that I had started in 2020 and with less whips than I went into 2020. So at this time, I'm right on my goal. I only have a few more months. Maybe next year will be to start all the things, start all the samplers. But all in all, September 1st starts September sampler soiree. And I really want to start one. But I know I won't finish it before 2020 is over. So, one more thing. Today I started a crochet piece. And I'm using a Lion brand yarn. And this is, the color is Wildfire. I'm really stumbling over my tongue today, aren't I? But this is the color Wildfire. And it is not a typical yarn. I don't have my wrapper right here to tell you. There it is. I do have my wrapper. It just fell. This is Homespun by Lion brand. And I haven't gotten very far because I just started it today. This is as far as I've gotten. Very simple. It's just a single crochet back and forth. And you're using from the stitches before, when you go back over a row, you're just stitching in the back thread so that the back stitch, there's two yarn threads here on the edge as you're crocheting, and I'm stitching in only the back one, where typically you go underneath one, and that's to give it this look, this ribbed look. And I will be making a pumpkin. I do also have another color in this same thread, and it's a white with a little gray in there. Pinterest always gets me in trouble. I saw these crochet pumpkins. I decided to make one for myself, so I got 2 different colors. It's not just the crochet pumpkins, but I see where people are recycling old sweaters and they're making pumpkins out of them, and I like the looks of the ribbed sweater pumpkins, and I also like the colors with the whites and the grays, so I decided to do one of my own. And I know that'll lead to doing them for my daughters, so I've got started on that today. I should have them done in plenty of time. Like I said, I've only spent maybe an hour at the most, and I've gotten about this much done, and I just need to, I'm going to triple the width. The height will be triple the width, and then I'll be done. I just have to cinch it up and form the pumpkin. So all in all, that's everything that I've been creative with this week. And this coming week, I'm going to continue to work on my pieces, my current focus pieces. I'm going to do my best to finish this up to have something to share with you next weekend. And I'm going to be excited for September 1st. So until next time, I hope everyone has a great week. I hope all those participating in Sampler Soiree, make sure you share all those beautiful pictures of your progress here on Flosstube if you're a Flosstuber, on Instagram, on Facebook, because I know, along with many others, I'm going to be looking. I want to be inspired. I want to see things I've not seen before. I want to see things that I need to purchase next. So have a great week. Cross all the stitches, and until next time, bye-bye.